Hello and welcome everyone to session 10 of Mechwarrior Destiny Salvaged Destiny, a Mechwarrior Destiny actual play. Joining me are
Hey.
four of my friends. We just spent the last 10-15 minutes. I do this thing at the end of at the beginning, excuse me, of every game where we shoot the shit and we talk about how our weeks were. And then I do a prompt. And this week's prompt was, what was your favorite piece of art? And I gotta tell you, it was good. I learned a lot about some of my friends here. I learned that Steve used to be in a band. I learned that Aaron trusts his wife to give him good advice. I learned that Anders is a man of culture and classic pieces of art. And I also learned that Strom and his wife play some games together and got really into it. And it's like this cool fucking bond they have. And you guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing those great stories. With that being said, I do want to just quickly make this announcement. If you are catching this stream on the VOD, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube as well as follow me on Twitch. It helps. But enough out of me. Let's go to the players and let's talk about who they're playing, and we'll take it from there. Lawrence, you're up first.
All right. Hi, Early B. I'm playing Lawrence, the Steiner, kind of now new trainer and mech warrior of the bunch. He's he's happy with his role, taking over and helping educate the young mech warriors that we have in our ranks now.
And fuck yeah. Willow.
Hey everyone, I am Strom_plays on Twitch and YouTube. I'll be playing Willow, well, you'll see.
Cyprian.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm playing Cyprian Devon. He's got himself a missile boat, so he's overjoyed with his missile boat, and he likes fixing things. Most recently, a holocom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. All right. And last and certainly not least, Callum.
Yeah, I'm Aaron, guys. I'm playing Callum Van Buren, the man who cannot be hit.
Oh my
Um,
god, that was insane last session. Like you were just jumping around like a freaking bunny rabbit. I couldn't
um,
believe it.
yeah,
All nimbly bimbly.
and recently has come into possession of a new, bigger, badder battle mech that he's in the process of having retrofitted. New.
And of course, everyone, I am Dare Wolf, the game master. I help run this thing. But not really run. We all work together on this. But with that being said, our first scene is going to be aboard the Ltropo, which has kind of become the primary dropship where your main mechs are housed. The Stropo has become more of a support vessel, while both of these Leopard class dropships have been almost, not entirely, but almost completely reworked back to their original purpose as being combat vehicles, transport vehicles for mechs, their pilots, as well as support for those mech pilots and mech warriors and those mechs. We've kind of come to the end of this first contract. You were on the planet Exter. You had been working with Kelly of the Merchant League there. And while he did offer you a re-up of this contract, my impression that I got from the group was that you guys wanted to move off planet and seek your destiny, destiny elsewhere, as it were. So we're going to open our first scene, when we're going to open in Willow's private quarters, in your quarters aboard the Ltropo. And you have just walked in, Willow, and your little personal computer that you have in that room, as it were, is doing one of those kind of like and there's something about the coloring of the light that's blinking. There's something about the tone of the message. It doesn't sound normal. It doesn't sound like a normal communique. It sounds like someone's almost messed with it so that as soon as you walked into the room, you would recognize who it was from. And you recognize that this communique is from someone from your past. You've gotten one message from her before, but it's been about a year. And you got that first message about a year ago. I know you kind of ignored it, didn't really go into it too much. But you've gotten another message from her. And I'm curious, do you ignore it? Or do you open that message?
Willow will breathe a deep sigh and then open the message.
And as you open the message, it is a video recording. The last message was simply an email style communique, just text on a screen. This one is a video. The person that you see before you is kind of shrouded. It's more of just a silhouette. You can see the short cropped kind of hair comes down just below this person's chin line. Looks like it curls at the end, and you recognize that silhouette as being none other than Karina Mad Dog DeFrancesco. This was a old, I would hesitate to use the word friend, but an old contact of yours back from your, I guess, less reputable days, as it were. Is that a fair assessment, Willow? That I could say less reputable days?
Yeah, for anyone who would be alive to know about it, and that's no one here.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But it starts off with her, you hear this kind of rhythmic tapping. Her left hand is on a desk. Looks like she recorded this, obviously in a dark room, only the light from the computer screen. And she says, well, hey there, Willie. I hear that's what you're going by these days. I've got a job for you. And if my sources are correct, and they always are, I think you and your new friends would be perfect for what needs to be done. When you left me, I said it was fine, but that there may come a time when I would call upon you. One job that you had to do without question. I'm calling that debt due right now. And then the message ends. On the tail end of that video recording, there is a file that has a location and an address. So it has a planet and then an address on that planet to where you can make contact with this person, if you so choose. I'm curious, what does Willow look like in this moment? What is his expression? How does he react to this?
Willow will, at his desk, sit there, looks pensive, picks up he hovers over the file, doesn't quite open it. Eventually he opens it, commits the information to memory, and then deletes the entire thing.
Beautiful. The entire thing is deleted. Glorious. Absolutely glorious. Now, what would Willow do after this moment? Would he take some time to himself? Would he move on? Go about his daily duties? What would be the plan?
Act like normal. Heave a big sigh, get up, and then go about his day like nothing ever happened.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Our next scene is going to be aboard the bridge of the what did I say? Was it the Ltropo was the main one or the Ltropo? I should have given them completely different names. Ltropo was the main one. I'm going to put that one on top.
You should have given them different names.
I should have given them different names, but it was funny at the time when I did it.
Corner.
But that's on me. I put myself in a corner. But we're actually going to go to the bridge of the Ltropo. L for... nope, there's no good moniker for that. Nope, I just screwed myself, and now I have to commit to it. We're just going to lean into that one. But we're going to be on the bridge of the Ltropo, and Yinny is at the comm station. She is typing away feverishly, and she looks slightly frustrated, but she has recently called everyone to the bridge to discuss, the next actions, where we should go from here, and what the proverbial plan is. So we're going to open this scene with everyone on the bridge. We've got Lawrence, we've got Willow, we've got Cyprian, we've got Callum, and then we also obviously have Sergeant Major Celian as well. And as you guys get to the bridge, she's got this huge star map of the local system up, and you will see, all of these different systems, and kind of similar to if anyone that's ever played Mechwarrior 5 or any sort of the Mercenary style games of the BattleTech video game franchise, you'd see that there are a little bit of pings through the Mercenary review board where you can pick and say, okay, here's a job here, here's a job here. This is this kind of contract, this is this kind of contract. And she's got a couple that are highlighted on the screen, giving you guys, basically she's come to the conclusion these seem to be the best kind of contracts, the best payout for the least amount of risk. And as you walk in, I'm curious, would anyone have any conversations that they're making, any discussions, any quick moments they'd like to have with one another, or would you simply just move over to Yinny and begin the conversation of what to do next?
I mean, Willow never shuts up, so.
And I think Callum is going to be sort of talking Cyprian's ear off about the modifications that he wants to make to the Mad Cat. He's probably been continuing ad nauseum about them since he hit upon the idea. And I guess as they come in, he's to say, I guess what I want to know is, do you think I'm making the best use of this thing? Like, could we squeeze any more weapons onto it?
Cyprian will probably pause and just. It's not always about weapons. I mean, I know that. I mean, I've squeezed as many missiles into that thing as possible, but for you, maybe it's more. Keep moving. Maybe put some more heat sinks on it and able to fire the weapons quicker.
Well,
we can
maybe
we should pick this up with Dina. I'm sure she'll have some ideas as well.
She's
Trust me, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
To be honest, she's been acting a little weird.
Now that you mention it, she's been more happy than usual. And I checked her room. There's no drugs.
Well, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Callum didn't say bad. He said weird.
Yeah, and not weird as in weird, but weird as in unusually for her.
Unusually normal or more strange than usual?
Well, unusual normally means more strange than usual.
Well, I'll give you an example. I was in the mech bay. I was going over my modifications, and I kicked over a canister of mech lubricant, and
Mech
it went
lubricant?
all over. Yeah, for the joints.
Yeah, that's canon now.
Headlight fluid.
Headlight fluid.
and I kicked it over, and she looked at me and said, "That's okay. It was only an accident."
That's very strange. Are you sure she didn't hit you in the head so hard you went into a brief coma?
I have no signs of physical trauma.
What are the odds that spontaneous psychic action might have happened? Is there any documented cases?
I was thinking that she may be perhaps a Draconis Combine body double.
Guys, I'm sure it's fine. He'll go and if you've got any like bits of paperwork that you've been scribbling on, he'll grab the paperwork off of Callum and be like, don't worry about it. I'll go and talk to Dina. I'm sure everything's fine, guys.
Oh, that looks a lot like what Lawrence would draw.
He'll look at it and then go, no, this is way better than what he drew. I mean,
that's very mean. They both draw like children.
Yeah, but I mean, this is almost grade school standard.
I don't know. Lawrence, what do you think? I think you've at least grade school standard.
I'd like to see either of you do better freehand.
Lawrence will look at the drawing and say, The point is that my idea was better. I just failed on execution. That is what I will hold myself to.
Your idea is not better than my idea.
Well, what is your idea?
What's yours?
Add armor, add heat sinks, so I can fire all my weapons at one point. Okay, what use is a weapon if you just blow yourself up if you fire it?
Does have a point.
Clearly.
You're both still
Cyprian
terrible
will-
at drawing.
Yes,
This is-
Cyprian will
this
shove
is
the-
absolutely
Fine.
true.
I'm not an artist.
Cyprian, you're gonna say?
He'll shove the paperwork into his jacket and be like, guys, we're getting off topic here. I'm sure that Yinny had something that she wanted us up here for, and I'll talk to Dina later. Don't worry about it, guys. It'll be fine.
Sure you will.
There is a chuckle from the captain from Upshire. He's chuckling to himself and just kind of shaking his head, listening to this bickering behind him. Esme is up at one of the computer stations near the kind of like the main bridge. Looks to be maybe working on some sort of paperwork filing. You're not exactly sure what it is, but she is currently working on that. And then Yinny has also turned around and is smiling at everyone. The only one that looks slightly perturbed, but moderately so, is the sergeant major, who has just got his arms crossed and is just like tapping his foot like, "Are you fuckers done yet?" is the expression you're getting from him.
Oh, what a surprise. He's grouchy.
Oh, don't be like that.
Eh.
I think he's in a good mood. See, if he was in a bad mood, he'd be tapping his fingers too.
My kingdom for a group of competent mech pilots. My kingdom for a group of competent mech pilots.
Well, you've got that. It's just the rest of us that's a problem.
Yinny, what do you have for us? Well, Sergeant Major, I've got two options here that I'd like to run by everyone. As was stated when we first began this contract on Exter, our eventual goal was to, and please, everyone, correct me if I'm wrong here, but get back in the fucking fight on Kintaris. There's two potential contracts that I see that could be useful, or at least do some kind of good. I'm not sure how many of you know, but Desari, Duke Eric Desari, he had a son, Ian. Ian's been, well, he's kind of got a little bit of a, and she kind of bobs her head back and forth. He started a civil war on Kintaris, a civil war within the civil war, like the big war. Like there's the big war, but there's also like a mini war on the planet. Is that making sense? Are you guys following me here, or am I sounding crazy? Okay, yeah, okay.
It's called an uprising.
That's the one, uprising. Yeah, that's the term. And well, he's looking for mech pilots to help out, and he's got two potential contracts out here. Let me go ahead and pull these up, and she kind of flicks the screen. Two of these contracts come up. Both of them don't pay great, but they seem like they'd be doing some good shit, as it were. Now, the two contracts are as follows. The first contract is an assassination style mission on one of the smaller continents of Kintaris, and it's for a low-ranking member of the current Katrina Loyalists army that's on Kintaris, and you'd be taking out a lieutenant along with a couple of his lancemates. The other one is a defense mission, as there are a couple of cities that have remained loyal to Desari, and they are currently under attack, and they are looking for mercenaries to come and help defend a couple of outposts. Both of them pay. So let's say you made X amount over the last year, working with Kelly and the extra merchants. This would pay about 1/10 of what you made over that year, which for one job isn't terrible, but it's going to be basically enough to get there, maybe do some good, and then go somewhere else. It's not really going to advance your monetary gains. That's the only problem she has. And she looks at everyone's expressions, and I just want to know, what is everyone's expressions? Just a brief description, like Lawrence. What is Lawrence's expression as she presents these two options to you?
He's vaguely interested, but he's not. If there are better opportunities, he would rather take them
Vaguely
'cause-
interested, but not sold.
Yeah.
I like it. Willow,
Yeah,
what is your
no.
expression?
Willow looks like he's about to argue.
Willow looks like he's about to argue. Cyprian, what is your expression?
Cyprian will be. He'll look like torn because he wants to get back to Cantares and save his home planet, but also the place is going to be absolutely flooded with Katrina loyalists, so he's not
Not sold
keen to jump
either.
straight back in that fight.
So the general mood is meh. That's what I'm hearing so far. And then what about Callum? What does Callum look like?
Callum's actually like shaking his head.
Like, no, like visibly, like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, all right, well, if you guys have any better ideas, then throw them my way.
It's not about better ideas. It's about if we want to make a difference on Kintaras, then we have to be in a position to do that. If we go defend a city, get shot up, and then have to leave, go look for work elsewhere so that we can get repaired, and then come back, that's a net zero gain for the planet and for us.
Yeah, I thought we left because we didn't want to get embroiled in impossible uprisings. And it sounds like you're just trying to get us embroiled in impossible uprisings.
Yeah, but like, what if they're...
It's a shit
fine,
situation.
Fine, we won't do it. Fine. You know what? Fine, we won't do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. What if? Who cares? You know what? I'll find something else, and you know what? You guys can fucking, you can do whatever you want. Doesn't even fucking matter. Doesn't fucking matter.
Well, another question is, what forces are they requiring on the planet? Are they requiring mech forces, or is this something that we can do with infantry?
Mech forces for both jobs.
It's a big investment, but
I think I might have another job for us. I was recently reached out to by an old contact.
I
Esme
already do not like where this is headed.
Esme turns in her seat and kind of does one of the Mr. Burns things where she leans back. Now she's very intently listening and just kind of does one of these. And is just
Willow
watching.
will look over at Esme and say, "You keep quiet."
Esme will slowly turn back, but out of the corner of the eye, she's just watching Willow with a very suspicious eye.
It will pay. It'll pay a lot.
So, based on the information you got, Willow, just so you can tell, you know how this job would have paid 1/10? This new job would pay as much as you made over the year on Exter. So it's significant. It's about 10 times as good, better pay.
It'll pay a lot, but it probably won't be a very nice job.
I have one question, Willow. Is this job MRBC sanctioned?
Well, were we fully mercenaries when we started working with Kelly?
No, but a defensive deployment against pirates is one thing, but I get the distinct impression that this one's going to involve things that would probably be considered illegal.
Probably, yeah.
Cyprian's going to sort of speak up and go, well, I mean, laws are only written by those
I really don't need your help on this one. It's just going to make it worse. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but it's just going to make this worse for me.
Cyprian, can we just have one day without the throw off the shackles of your oppressor and just all sit and understand that nothing around us politically is ever going to change?
I don't understand why you like the boot so much.
I don't. That's why I'm a mercenary.
Yeah, we just have to work for whoever pays us the most. And also not work for those who will get us killed without any cause.
And furthermore, I don't like the boot. I am the boot.
So yeah, this
This is
job
my point.
that's-
There should be no boots.
Well, then everybody's going around barefoot.
And your father, Cyprian, will pipe in and say, "But son, if there's no boots, everyone gets trench foot."
I feel like this analogy is breaking down really hard.
He looks very smug in that statement.
Also, I would like it if you stop interrupting me. That's my job. I interrupt you. This doesn't happen the other way around.
Cyprian will like mock bow and continue.
But yes, I can promise that this job will pay a lot. Just about equal to maybe a little more than we made working with Kelly the entire time we were working with Kelly. For one job. One time.
And what exactly is in the job?
Yeah, it's one of those things where they don't tell you until you get there. That's why the price is so high.
Right. There's an old saying, information is ammunition.
Have we Willow will turn to Cyprian. Cyprian, have we ever shot words out of our guns?
No, I'm fairly certain that we require ammunition.
Which requires C bills, which this will pay a lot of. Then we require repair. And then when we do want to come back to Kentaris, which is the entire point that we left, so that we wouldn't get stuck in
Right.
failed uprisings, so we can amass.
But if the job is illegal,
I don't know if
then-
it is illegal.
all right,
It is
but
almost
let's-
certainly illegal.
let's assume that it is, and we know nothing about it. If it was legal, they'd tell us exactly what it was if we were just going to drop off a package or something. But let's assume that it's illegal and we don't know anything about it. If you sign us up to this, we could get there and they can say, all right, get in the bathtub, we're taking your kidneys.
Yini laugh. She liked that one.
I don't think that happened. Yeah, that hasn't happened in a long time. No, this.
Yeah,
this-
you have never been to Canopus then. That's like probably the fourth largest industry.
What the hell?
He took it very literally. the
Kidney
saying.
stealing? Kidney stealing is part of their industry?
Organ trafficking.
Who buys them? That's horrible.
People who need kidneys.
Lawrence over there like, yeah, that's a real industry. Like, oh god, that's horrible.
Well,
That's hilarious, Andres. You're a good man.
you're right. I have
Maybe
never
it was
been there.
bathtub manufacturer.
It sounds like I never do want to go there. But no, there's nothing as crass or as brutal as that. It probably be just a little bit of smuggling, probably a lot of bit of smuggling, if I had to guess, based on the contact.
And I think at this, Callum's just gonna like scratch his head and like,
Listen, it's not illegal if we don't get caught.
yeah, it still is.
That's not been my experience.
You just escape consequence. It doesn't make it
That's-
right.
I didn't say it was right. I just said it wasn't illegal. And it probably isn't wrong, depending on what we're smuggling.
Esme will kind of let out like a snort as she's turned back, and she will make the comment that it's all a matter of perspective, Willow, right and wrong.
Yeah, most things. Murder is still pretty wrong. I don't think there's a perspective that'll give you murder on right.
Depends on who gets murdered, says Yini.
I don't. It's a strong argument. I think I'll leave it at that.
That's funny. That is actually very, very funny. I like that. I like that one.
Cyprian will ask Willow if he's willing to tell us who the job is for, And if not, do you trust the person that's offering the job?
Absolutely not. I don't trust anybody who I knew before I became a mech pilot, and none of you should either. And I guess I should probably tell you all. And Willow will look over at Esme and say, "And nothing. I don't want to hear a word out of you." But there's I don't have any family on Olancha. All of those nice chit chats about mothers and fathers and vacations and working normal jobs. It's all bullshit. I grew up on the street, ran with some gangs for far too long. All family gone. And the only reason that I'm even here is because I had to pull a couple of favors with a couple of very powerful bad people. And now they're calling them in.
So if you walk on this contract, could they come after you?
Yeah, that's not really their style though. What they'll probably do is just destroy all of the paper trail that allowed me to live a normal life, and then
Make
I'll
your
become a
life
wanted fugitive.
make your life a living hell.
Yeah. I'll be a fugitive throughout basically the entire galaxy.
Well,
It'll be awful.
Well, then it sounds like we have to help a friend, and we're going to get paid to do it.
A lot.
If you need me, I'm there.
I appreciate it.
I'll also go along with this, provided that we do not tarnish our unit's reputation. But I will go along with this and help out.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, I'm done. That's silly. I like it. So it sounds like, based on what I'm hearing from you guys, that everyone's in agreement that you all want to take on this potential contract that has been presented to Willow by an old associate. We won't say friend, an old associate of Willow's. And the good news is that I like that. I like that a lot. Not that it matters what I like. It's all about your story. But
Cyprian
you guys
is
are
very much on the fence.
Yeah.
Because he agrees that he needs to stand with Willow and help out his buddy, but also concerned firstly about what Celian might think of his decision to entertain effectively going and breaking what his dad would think, it's the law. Well, the law is always right, but also he would have this preconceived idea that gangs are clearly the worst of everything.
He wouldn't be wrong either.
Aaron, get out of my head. Get out of my head. So the contract is going to take place in a system known as Robinson. It's roughly a 36-day journey. There are 2 jumps that you have to make to get there. And the contract itself, the address that you memorized, is on planet Robinson, which is Robinson's a pretty rich and comfortable planet. Huge tracts of arable land, vast deposits of ores, minerals, strong industrial base.
There's a Monty Python reference in there somewhere.
Yeah, huge tracts of land. It's good.
It's where Lawrence is from, technically.
Yeah,
So.
Unfortunately, it was occupied with the Draconis Combine during the early Succession Wars, and it's been a long, slow recovery to build it back up. But the big manufacturing center there is known as Robinson Standard Battle Works, the Valiant systems. So if you guys end up wanting to travel there, it will take you, like I said, about 36 days. There's 2 total jumps. And yeah, I think that would be that's where you guys can head off to. Unless anyone has any other suggestions or desires of where they want to head off to.
Willow will, as we're making this decision, he'll turn to everyone in the bridge and say, "Not a word about, well, me to anyone else. It's just easier and safer for everyone if they just think that I am Arthur Byrne. You know,
I knew that name was fake.
actually the name's real. It's just there's no family name. There's no nothing. I never
Well-
had papers. Never had a birth certificate. It was a tough life.
Well, you don't seem much worse for the wear, so I'd say you handled it well.
So I got out.
Beautiful. And so what I'd like to do for everyone is you guys have roughly a month during this transit, and I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to have some scenes with one another, with some NPCs. I've got a couple scenes that I want to have happen between some of the NPCs and you guys, but I first and foremost want to open the floor to all of you. If you have any requests of scenes you'd like to have, so that we can have those interactions and those moments. So I open the floor to you all right now.
Willow would spend a lot of time composing himself in his room.
Okay. 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 So you are composing yourself in your room. I like that. I like that. What about Lawrence? What would Lawrence be doing to occupy himself during these jumps, during some of the just standard transit time as the dropships are moving through the vastness of space? What would Lawrence be up to?
I think Lawrence is going to be largely keeping tabs on the training program, making sure that they're getting their hours in while we're, moving systems. He's also going to be reaching out to his father, since his father is on Robinson, and specifically telling him about like, oh, I'm with a new mercenary company, and asking specifically if he could get us some supplies at cost from Robinson's Standard Battle Works, which is where his dad's employed at.
Ooh, you know what? I like that. I like that. Does your father have a name?
I do not. Let me actually look at my notes.
I'm curious. Does old Pappy have a name?
Pep, pep.
The Pappy.
I know his mother does. His mother is. Oh gosh.
Does Pappy
But-
have a name?
I'm gonna go that Pappy is named Robert. Robert
Ooh.
Weber.
Robert Weber from Robinson. That's a great name. I like that a lot, actually. That's fucking awesome. I absolutely love that. So Robert Weber. So you guys are, let's say at this point when this scene takes place, you are close enough to where you can do communication, and there's no delay. There's no delay in communication. So you're maybe a day or two out from the planet itself. All right, and we'll kind of jump around in time during these different little scenes, but you send a message, and you have to wait for a response, and you're waiting for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, and finally get that little bing 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 coming back, and it is indeed your father who's reaching back out to you, and it's would describe to me, if you would, Lawrence, what is your relationship like with your father? Like, are you close? Are you distant? What is the relationship like?
Lawrence is like very much a family guy.
Okay.
Said, hey P, I hate myself for saying that.
No,
but
don't hate yourself. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
No. I did an impression of Lois from Family Guy when I said Family Guy.
That's totally fine. I love it.
But he's close with both of his parents.
Mhm.
He more understands his mother because he's a He's not smart like his dad. Like his dad is a mech designer. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
Whereas Lawrence is a soldier, like his mom. But he's decently close with him. He chit chats with him about like some new design. Of course, he chit chats about the political aspect, and I think he would. He loves his son, and he will try and see if he can get a contract negotiated for certain supplies, just so that we don't have to, constantly be scrubbing the black markets or different systems.
So
for,
I'd
like,
I'd like to cut to a scene of you on the bridge. It is just going to be you, and Yinny's not there. The captain, of course, is there, but you're at that same kind of little station that Yinny was at, where she was making, she's making contacts, looking at different contracts, Lawrence, and you get that from or like maybe it's a little beeping noise, like a kind of noise, and there is a video request. It's a Zoom conference, a Zoom call, much like we're on right now, and your father, your father is how do I put this? He is an older man, graying hair, and he's the type of guy who always has a cigar in his mouth. Like, that's just kind of who he is as a person, right? And he pops up on the screen, and you can hear in the background the grinding and the scraping of metal, welding going on. He's obviously in the plant right now, and it looks like he's doing this from maybe like a small, like a cell phone style thing. And as the image pops up, it's a little fuzzy. You're still a little ways out. You just see this big smile, the cigar in the left side of his mouth. He takes in a little bit of a puff, lets it out, and he says, "Laurie, how the hell are you, my boy? You look fantastic. When I got the message from you about what happened on Kantara's, I gotta be real. I feared the worst, but it's good to see that you are. Well, it looks like you're doing well. And I mean, if we're having point-to-point communication here, that means you're close by. Are you stopping in for a family visit, or is this something more business related?"
Well, I would hope that we can do the former, but let's just say for now, Father, it's probably going to be more of the latter.
I should be doing a German accent for him. But of course, my boy.
He's
fine.
He's from the Federated Sons.
Okay, all right.
So
I was like, yeah, my boy. Yeah, mein Kinder. This is totally fine.
We can make up the excuse that my terrible accent is because he's from both worlds.
Okay, I love it.
There we go. We found the reason.
We have an in-canon reason why the accent is a little bit here and there. I love it.
Yeah.
And he again, he's wearing that same big grin on his face, that same smile that he has whenever you two are communicating and having a conversation. And he nods and he says, "Your mother, she's going to be ecstatic to hear that you're coming in. And I'm not going to tell her. I want this to be a surprise. But since we are on the topic of business, what can I do for you, my boy?"
I hate to ask, but our mercenary company, we have a good mech crew. You would love to meet many of them, I'm sure. They're good, hard workers. Absolutely. I'll make sure that happens. But we've been making do with duct tape and scraps of ferrofibrous steel to make sure that everything goes running. I was wondering and reaching out to see if we could get any sort of supply from Robinson Standard.
Reaching up with his left hand, he takes the cigar out of his mouth. And it's still kind of fuzzy, it's kind of staticky, there. But he brings it a little bit closer to his face, and he says, "Son, you don't even need to ask. I will do whatever I can to help you out. And might I say, I'm both delighted and extremely proud of you for making the best of a shit situation. Send me what you need, and as soon as you make planetfall, let's meet up. I've missed you, my boy. Truly, I've missed you."
I've missed you too, Father. And he's going to, He's not. None of my characters are ever good at the social aspect, but he will say thank you.
And the message is kind of like getting a little more staticky as the connection started to kind of fade a little bit. But you see him look back over his shoulder and he screams at somebody about, they call that a fucking weld. And he says, "I'm sorry, boy. I've got to get back to work, but reach out to me. Contact me as soon as you're on planet." And can't wait to see you. And then, he'll cut off. But I like that. I like that. So you've got a contact. You've got some potential supplies you can get at a reduced prices through your father since he works at the facility. I think that's fantastic. Willow, you are currently in your room. You're kind of taking more to yourself. What about Cyprian? Cyprian, who would you like to interact with prior to arriving on Robinson?
Cyprian will want to go and talk to Dina with the scribbles that Callum had produced, and see how viable. It is.
I like that a lot, actually.
He would go on his own though, and then report back.
Okay, so Cyprian's gonna go meet up with old Deansky. And Deansky, Dina, old Dina Bobina. She is gonna be actually. Remember that scene with Callum where he was in the mech parts section, in one of the storage facilities where you keep parts. That's where we're going to zoom in. We're going to zoom in on that little area, and Dina is actually in there, and more so to the kind of classic Dina we've come to know. She is quietly, not loudly, muttering to herself. She's quietly muttering to herself about who the fuck was touching my things. And she doesn't really sound angry. It's almost kind of like when you have a cold and you've got a little bit of a cough and it just kind of lingers. It's like the lingering angry Dina is still just kind of resurfacing for a moment here. And she's putting that goes there, that wrench goes there. Who the fuck puts a fucking type A fucking wrench here into this box? It doesn't go in this box, it goes in that box. God, I work with a bunch of monkeys. Stupid fucking
She's
jumping around with monkeys and apes, and they just fucking knocking around and everything, and they're so stupid. And oh, Cyprian, hey.
As I was going to say while she's still doing that, he would go round to a bit that she's already organised, and then just swap two things.
You are a bastard, and I love it. And as you swap two things, there is a slight clattering noise, just a little bit of a cling. She stops what she's doing, and she says, "You put that back."
He will slowly put it back while looking directly at her.
She hasn't turned around yet. As soon as you hear the little clink, she says, she slowly turns around, and this look of just that precursor to rage is on her face, but as soon as she sees Cyprian, it washes away, and she smiles. "Oh, Cyprian, hey, hi, how are you? It's good to see you. I mean, of course I see you all the time. I mean, we work together, right? What's going on?"
He will pull out the paperwork and then clear an area of stuff, presumably that she's organised on the workbench, and just scatter it, and then put the paperwork down. And go, "Callum's had an idea. I think it has potential, but it needs work. This is where you come in."
You see her doing some deep breathing exercises to calm down, and then she will slowly walk over to the table that you brushed all of the stuff onto the floor, her eyes looking down at the pile of things, her right eyebrow kind of twitching. She'll walk over and then look at the plans. And as she looks down at the plans, she looks at you, then down at the plans. "Did Bruce draw these?"
You would think so. No, Callum.
Somewhere off in the distance, you hear, "It's not that bad."
Are you sure it wasn't Bruce?
Well, I mean, Bruce might have helped Callum, but
That
no,
makes sense.
Callum says that.
Smash cut to Willow and Bruce drawing in the galley one day, and both of them are actually pretty competent.
Really good artists, yeah. It's a beautiful shadow, the blending is everything's really nice, and Bruce is like, "Wow, Willow, thanks for taking the time to teach me some art lessons. This is really relaxing. I really appreciate it." Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's canon. Yeah, that's totally canon.
Meanwhile, Callum and Lawrence are just in the corner,
smashing
drawing
crayons onto the walls of the drop.
No, I just crayons just 14, 15, 16. Sorry, I had to.
That's a great Simpsons episode. Poor Ralph. Fantastic. All right, where were we? Having a moment. She's gonna look down and said, "Is that supposed to be the Mad Cat?"
I think so.
Okay, I guess that is an arm. Okay, that's the cockpit. Those are the legs. That's the, I guess, the ankles. That's kind of a torso. And she like kind of like picks it up and like turns it to the side and then sees it. I'm gonna ask you a favor, Cyprian. Could you translate this into something I can understand?
So Cyprian will try and describe what it was that Callum was explaining to him.
So imagine, you know the old phrase, explain to me like I'm 5? Explain it to her like she is the best mech tech you have in your entire mercenary company and is very, very good at what she does. She wants the technical, not the simple. She wants the technical. So I imagine that's something that Cyprian's really good at as well. And you don't have to necessarily describe it, but just give me an idea of like, what do you say? You don't have to be too specific, but like, what would you say? How would you describe this to her?
Not knowing actually out of character what
I
Callum was
can-
planning.
So I can
To
tell
a
you
scene
that.
where Callum is
Yeah.
talking to Cyprian about what he wants
Yeah.
done.
Okay, sure. So I feel like we don't need any more long-range missiles. I feel like we're at saturation when it comes to saturation fire. So what I was thinking was we take the left and right torso pods off, replace each of them with Streak SRM 4s and 6s on each side. Basically give me Streak SRM 10s on both shoulders. That'll free up some extra space for maybe 1 or 2 more heat sinks, and it'll let me move and shoot the way that I do.
So Cyprian will think for a few moments and you can see him doing a few like little mental calculations on weight loadings and
Cut back to him and Dina.
points and
Yeah, I like that.
So he'll grab a pen or a pencil that's sort of like on the desk and like draw a circle around the bits that he's tried to scribble on as being like missile pods, and then describe and tell her about removing the LRMs, replacing with Streak SRM 4 and 6s on each shoulder. Using these connection points, we'll be able to change some of the armor work around here to enable a secure joint between that and that, couple the 6 and the 4 together to close couple fire both of them at the same time, effectively creating an SRM 10. And we'll explain in technical detail about how that might work and what equipment and bits that we need to actually achieve this.
As you go into all this technical detail, you see that kind of like surface level rage that Dina had because you knocked stuff off of the desk be replaced with that kind of twinkle in her eye she gets when there is a project she is very excited about. And she will respond to Cyprian with, a couple of questions, maybe some suggestions on how to make it better. She'll actually correct Cyprian like once or twice on some of the things he says they need, but she's actually, no, it actually needs to be this. But long story short, she says we can do it. We just need to get the parts, and it's just going to take time. But assuming we can get the parts, yeah, this is completely doable. And honestly, I haven't had a chance to work on many Omni-Mechs lately. This will be fun. Do you want to help? And that's the first time Dina's asked for help, ever. Other than the time she asked for help when, she was overdoing some calming medications.
Cyprian will be like, you sure that you need my help? I mean, of course I'll help if you want, but
Cyprian, I don't need your help. But I want your help.
and then he'll do like finger guns, and I'm in.
You son of a bitch. I'm in. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. And yeah, you guys will take some more time. There'll be some back and forth of like different suggestions, and it's very much a kind of playful like ribbing. Like you're both obviously Cyprian's really good based on what we've experienced from him with the technical aspects of mechs, battle mechs. So but Dina's a little bit better. But there is still this kind of like rapport that you have as you discuss, and it gets more and more exciting, and you figure out ways to make it even more practical and function. What about Callum? Let's pivot over to Callum. Who, if anyone, would you like to interact with during this month journey over to Robinson?
I think for the most part, Callum is going to focus his time on Sam and Bruce, have them in the simulators, but basically now hook up a third mech, like maybe his Hellhound, to this sort of makeshift Frankenstein machine simulator that we've rigged up. And basically he's going to have them team up to try to bring him down.
Ooh, I think that is absolutely positively friggin' delightful. Let's do that. So we are going to cut to a scene of we've got Callum inside of his Hellhound. You've actually gotten really good at converting, like everyone's gotten really good at converting battle mechs into simulators.
Buds.
Yeah, like it's you've got it down to a fine science, and you've gotten it to the point where like, and it mostly from Tom. Tom's been really integral in getting us set up. In fact, there's a whole little like computer station in front of these actually four different little slots where you can walk a mech into, and then you hook up a couple cords. There's a couple of modifications that take place to the internal computers, but you've made them into these battle sims. But then within 30 minutes of work, you can disconnect them and have them battle ready as well. So it's not like you have to completely tear out the insides. With that being said, we cut to a scene, and Callum, I'd like you to kind of take the floor, and this is really up to you as a player. How good are Sam and Bruce in working together? How good are they right now? I mean, you're obviously significantly better, but how good? How does the fight play out during this particular endeavor?
They work well together, but I would say that Sam is still much too eager to score kills. Just for whatever reason, she's fixated on that, the tally. Bruce is, I would say that Bruce innately is probably a little better than she is at the entire.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I think it's mostly because of the fact that he's sort of living with a disability in his regular life, and the focus that he's gained from a lifetime of that has made it so he can apply himself much more efficiently than she can to any given task, just because he's more used to that on the back end. And now that he's in a battle mech that it walks for him, it runs for him, he's devoted all of the bandwidth to just piloting the machine now, and just completely forgotten about anything else, and he completely goes into it. Yeah.
So you guys are in a simulation. It's a lunar surface. It's a moon. Heat dissipation is not as good because there's no atmosphere. So that's kind of just maybe one of those like little side things you've added into this particular mission. And we cut to a scene where we see Bruce and Sam and their perspective. They've got the Wolfhound and the Javelin, and they're kind of in tandem, maybe about half a kilometer apart, so close enough to where they're well within range. and you see Sam, Bruce actually call out to Sam, and he says, I don't have him. I don't have him on sensors. Maybe he's running dark. Well, if he's running dark, that means he's got to spin up. Well, we can't assume he's running dark. He could just be behind a hill or something. I mean, sensors don't necessarily, pick up things on behind hills. We have to have some slight visual contact or radar contact. I know how fucking radars work, okay? I know how our systems work, our scanners work. And they start to kind of bicker, and you hear Bruce, and you're listening to this, Callum. You can hear all of this. You're picking them up, etc., because you want to, hear what's going on. And Callum, I'd like you to describe to us where you are hiding, and in this moment, how do you begin your attack on them?
Yeah. So there's a series of like pillars, like stone, naturally formed stone pillars, and he's among them, providing a minimal sensor profile. If they're not looking for him, they're not going to find him. And right now they're not looking for him. They're bickering with one another.
Yep.
And I think, actually, let me just double check. I think my, and Callum's Hellhound also has an active probe. So he is actually outside of their effective sensor range, but within his own. And so he's just eavesdropping and waiting for them to pass in front of him so that he can get behind them.
And
but he's
you would hear them continue to argue, more Sam arguing and being the hothead that she's come to be known as. And Bruce says, we should stick together. If he gets a drop on one of us, then the other can then swing around. And she's like, that's stupid. I'm gonna go find him. You catch up when you're ready. And he's like, no, Sam, we have to stay. And then she takes off at a sprint. And he is now falling behind her. And he's like, Sam, no, if we don't work as a unit, then it's not going to work out. And then she passes in front of Callum. Does Callum take the shot, or does he wait? Nope. No. So she passes in front of Callum.
He waits till she's long gone.
And she moves past, and Bruce is right behind. They still haven't picked you up, and you see Bruce. Do you take the shot?
And I swing in behind Bruce and open up on his. I know it doesn't really work that way in the game, but his rear armor, which is weaker.
So you swing in and launching an alpha strike. It's a perfect shot. The mech, he's like, he's behind. They came from behind, and then boom, and his mech goes down. And you actually hear him being like, Sam, I told you. Sam swings around, and there's actually a moment I'd like to describe, take a little bit of creative license here, where she puts up a decent fight between the two of you as you guys are duking it out, the bakchal, as it were. You're duking it out here, back and forth. But you do get the better of her. She lands 1 or 2 hits, but you do get the better of her and take her down. And as you end the simulation, you both get out. Bruce is already down at the base of his javelin, looking a little annoyed. He does look a little frustrated in this moment, because of his sister being a hothead, and he's next to Tom, and he's actually looking at the battle ROM. They're actually going through the battle ROM of what took place. Tom isn't making any comments, but Bruce is. Like, you see him point, he goes, right there. That's when she took off from me, and if we would have just stayed together, he couldn't have gotten the drop on both of us. He might have taken one out, but then we've had a chance to go, Sam, we've got to work together. And Sam's like, you need to be not such a fucking winny-ninny, little whiny, poopy, and she just, goes off on him for a little bit.
No, I think he'll step in as soon as that happens and just really kind of look at her and say, you really seem like you want to kill somebody in real life. You seem like you want to go into a battle and kill somebody.
Well, isn't that the point? We're supposed to kill the other guys.
If I may, Arl will.
I think absolutely.
Sitting on the
Arl.
side.
Arl shows up out of nowhere.
I'm sorry. Fuck me, goddamn.
Grizzled old Arl.
Grizzled.
He's got one eye now at this point. He's just all
I was reading something, and then I got my wires
Dude,
crossed.
you're good,
Lawrence,
man.
so.
Don't worry. Yeah, old Arnold shows up.
You kids.
You kids and your mech warriors, your mech bandits. But yeah, Lawrence is there as well. I mean, you are, planning to eventually take over as kind of more like the trainer guy for everybody. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
And he will kind of, he'll just say that the point of war is not to kill. Now, the point of war is to stop your enemy. And of course, killing is a method of doing that. But if you just rush in, trying to do the most amount of damage, you have clearly left yourself open to a flank. You left your teammates open to getting flanked, and you have lost. If the only goal is destruction, you will. If your only goal is destruction, you have severely limited the capacity of the team. Your goal should be to, as efficiently be able to dismantle your enemy's abilities, not mere destruction.
Bruce is nodding his head in agreement, like he understands.
I
seems...
poorly explained that.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I think that was brilliant.
And maybe I can put it another way, Sam. If you go into a battle looking to kill somebody, you'll get somebody killed. That could be your brother. That could be you. It could be me. It could be Lawrence. It could be any of us. We're there to do a job. We're not actually there to hurt people, but sometimes that comes with it.
Bruce will pipe in. The most important thing is making sure that we all come home. You left me there all alone. That got me killed. What if this was a real fight? I know it's just a simulator, but if we don't stick together like we always have, then we're gonna die apart. And I'd like to make a roll today, and I'd like Lawrence and Callum to make a negotiation or a protocol or
Don't have any of those.
something. And if you don't have it, just
I mean, if it's related to the battlefield, can we give you a tactics?
yeah, give me a tactics. I like that. Yeah.
Oh, if only Jacob were here. I only have protocol, which is not really applicable. So I'll just do intelligence.
Whoop.
We'll do skill check, and that's just with +1.
Hey,
That's not too bad.
so
Wow,
between
there you
the
go.
two of you, though, you do see that kind of little bit of a breakthrough. And Sam, though still looking a little begrudging, will cross her arms and say, "Okay, I get it. I'm not the only one on the battlefield. It's me and all of my lance mates. I'm sorry I abandoned you." Bruce says, "It's okay, sis. I mean, that's why we're learning. That's why we're doing this stuff. If you don't make mistakes, you don't ever learn. We just got to make sure we don't make those mistakes when it really matters." And Bruce, I think, has become... the impression that you are getting from Bruce is that he's actually started to mature pretty much beyond where his sister was. He was this small kind of meek child when you met him, but the confidence, the opportunities that Evenheart's sons, all of you, have allotted to him has really started to make him come into his own. And I think Bruce is becoming a pretty good mech pilot. That's my impression that I'm getting. You guys are doing a good job. Sam's still got a ways to go. She's still a bit of a hothead, but go ahead, please, Callum.
Yeah, just one last thing.
Yeah.
Callum will see that Lawrence is there now, so he'll sort of back off and sort of head to maybe check up on the Mad Cat or see if there's any progress on the plans. But as he leaves, he just sort of turns around and is like almost half smiling. I kind of want to provoke Sam, and he just says, "Well, then maybe next time we get in the simulator, I won't limit your sensor range by 20%.
Wait, did you son of a... And then I think that's a good moment. I like that. I like that a lot. There is a scene that I'd like to have with Willow, though, and this would be partway through the journey towards Robinson. And as you had mentioned, you are spending much of your time inside of your quarters, readying yourself, kind of steadying yourself. And there is a There's a character that we haven't really seen yet. But one William Frederick Lambert III, who is a mech pilot, but is also kind of the accountant for the, I believe it was the accountant we were going to make him for the Lance company, right? Like the CPA is what we're the kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's kind of doing a multi-role thing, which, seeing as you're kind of small, a lot of folks take on multiple roles. But as we pivot over to you, let's say it's later in the day. You've gone about your daily duties, maybe done some training. You've done what you needed to do, but you've retired to your room. And what would be his mood? After the daily duties are done, you mentioned you're kind of readying yourself. What is Willow doing to prepare and ready himself for this interaction he's about to have?
Willow would just be preparing himself to confront someone. It's like hopefully no one knows, but it's like confronting an abusive parent.
There is
or someone who was abusive
Yeah.
in an abusive relationship with you.
Yeah.
And I hope no one can relate to that.
Yeah. We've all seen movies. We've all seen shows in which that kind of thing takes place. It's like facing your bully, as it were. Which, yeah, I get that. I get that. There is a nervousness. There's kind of this childlike feeling you have. I've been there personally. Not to be too personal, but I've been there, and I get that. So there's going to be a knock on your door, and it's a respectful knock. It's just kind of like a tink tink tink, and you would hear William Frederick. You'd hear William on the other side. Hey, Willow, are you in there?
Yeah, come on in.
And he will open the door, walking in to see you, and the organization that you were a part of was big. And I'm going to do a little bit of creative licensing here, but there is a tattoo that everyone that was part of that organization gets. And it's something where you get it, it's enough to where it can be hidden, but it's always on the left shoulder, just kind of above where your heart is. That's where that tattoo is. And the symbol, you can tell me what the symbol looks like, but I'm going to say there is some kind of like tattoo. It's kind of like a initiation sort of thing that you get. And you don't recognize him. You haven't necessarily worked with him other than part-time during the Evenheart Sons. But as he walks in, he makes this motion where he taps his solar plexus, taps his chin, and then double taps right where that symbol is. And that is kind of a call sign. That's kind of a greeting that those that were a part of this organization would give to each other to let them know, hey, I'm there. And then for anyone looking in that wasn't a part of that organization, it might just look like, maybe like a nervous tick, so something too crazy. But I'm curious, in this moment, would Willow respond, or would he continue to, I guess, maybe hide who he really is?
Hey, look at him. Where'd you learn that?
And he will kind of narrow his eyes, not aggressively, but a little bit. Learn what, Willow?
You know what?
We all have histories that we prefer to forget. I've been watching you some, and you seem... I know this... I think I know what you're going through, and I'm feeling similar. I haven't been on Robinson in close to 15 years, and it's a time in my own history that I'd care to forget. Something tells me you'd care to forget it too.
Yeah, sure would, but things like that you just can't forget. And then Willow will, lower his shirt to where the tattoo used to be, but it's obvious that there was a tattoo removal that happened. But it's in the shape. It's very minimalist, like a circle not filled in, a line that goes like curved around it, and then an arrow.
Oh, I like that. And you'll see him pull down his collar, and he still has the tattoo. And he'll just nod in kind of acknowledgement. There's a silence between the two of you for a few moments, and he will finally break that silence. What did you promise her when you got out?
I promised her everything, anything at all. Just wanted her to get me out. Didn't want to end up like my sister.
Would it be wrong
Didn't
of me to
really-
ask what happened to her?
Gang war, I'm sure you were there. You were part of it.
And at the mention of you were part of it, there is a... Give me a streetwise check. Just give me a quick streetwise check, if you would.
No problem.
Nice. At the mention of you were there, there is just a little bit of a grimace that crosses his face. And he does his best to quickly hide it. But there is, again, a little bit of a grimace on his face. Like that comment of you were there hit him a little bit harder than you would have anticipated. It just, someone you're telling a story to.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it. So I want it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm just a few bunks down.
Same to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Willow. And yeah. And then he's gonna leave unless Willow has anything else to share with him.
Nope.
Cool. And he heads down, disappears. And the other scene that I'd like to have is one between Yinny and Callum. And I'm curious, from Callum's perspective, you guys were obviously close at one point. How much time have you guys spent with one another? How much time, have you worked on kind of strengthening that friendship? Have you just kind of let it lie as it is? What have you guys been doing as far as that goes?
No, I mean, I think like they probably, yeah, I think they would have probably actively worked to maintain their friendship. I mean, they were friends at the when we were all at that academy on Kintara's 4. Of course, and she kind of got a little upset when their team lost that fight that sort of put a strain on things for a little while. But then, I mean, Callum did go back for her.
Yeah.
So I think that
literally saved her life.
To mend fences. And yeah, I think like in the interim, yeah, they probably, make sure that they have time, a few times a week to just make sure that they get caught up on one another, what's going on, what everybody's doing.
Okay.
And, maybe just either grab a bite or play even a board game.
Yeah. So I'd like to have a scene where the two of you have like a weekly night. It's not a date night per se. It's just like you guys just hang out. It's like you just hang out. You have a meal together. You shoot the shit. You play cards. You play a board game. You do something together just to like have a quick break. Like you hang out with friends, like a weekly friend thing that you guys do. And we're gonna cut to that scene. You've just finished a meal. You're playing Texas Hold'em or something. Just a simple card game for just a couple of C-bills. It's always a friendly game, right? And she this evening has seemed a little. This is maybe 3 weeks into the journey, right? And all these little vignettes have taken place during that month period. But she seems a little preoccupied, and she has this entire night. And as she, you play this hand, you've got a flush, she's got 2 pairs. You crush her, you scrape the cat, the sea bill, little like currency, little coins or whatever over to your side, and she says, "Why didn't you want to go back? When I said we had an opportunity to strike back against Katrina, you shook your head. Look, I get it. I get it that we need to. I get that we need to be prepared, but there's an opportunity for us to do something now. Why? If we keep waiting, that opportunity might slip by. I just don't get it, Callum. What if they're still alive? What if there's something we can do? I don't get it."
Well, you're assuming that I don't want to go back. It's not true. I want to go back. I want to get even. Hell, I want to go back to my own home planet and get even. Doesn't mean any good would come of it if I did. Sometimes you have to take yourself out of the equation and look at the bigger picture. Right now, if we went back, yeah, we could probably stay alive. That's about it. We're not gonna win this fight for Kintaras. Kintaras has to free itself. Well, Prince Victor has to send some of his own people to do it. It isn't going to be us. Not totally. We could play a part of it, but that's all we can do, play a part.
She nods her head. Nods her head.
I know it doesn't make it easier.
But the plan hasn't changed, right, Callum? Eventually we are going to go back and do something, right?
Well, if Ian can get his feet under him, yeah, I'd say there's probably a pretty good chance of me going back.
Okay. You need to stop cheating at cards, by the way. It makes these nights not very fun. She will grab the deck and start shuffling.
I don't cheat. You're the one that sits in front of a mirror.
What the? God damn it! And I think that's a funny moment where you guys can both have a little bit of a laugh, as it were. But we are going to cut to a scene of you guys we watch as the 2 dropships come. They've hit the zenith. They travel for several days towards Robinson, and Robinson is actually the 3rd planet from the sun, or this star, as it were. And the go ahead.
I don't know. I interrupt the flow. I had one scene that I wanted to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If there's something else you want to do, please, yeah,
So,
interject. Yeah, absolutely.
Cyprian would go and knock on. He's going to go and see the Sergeant Major, but he'd go and do it on like neutral territory. So maybe like at the end of the day, when everybody's finished and like he's gone back to his bedroom or whatever, and pop in on his parents.
I love that
sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. All right, I've got a good location that we can have that. Your dad's kind of got like a corner office / bedroom where him and his mom. Now, would you like to discuss just with your father, or would you like your mother to be there as well?
She would also be there.
Okay, perfect. I like that a lot.
It needs to be like Cyprian would time it so that he's got an ally in the room.
Ooh.
And his mom would be his ally.
Okay.
Because I imagine that that Sergeant Major is not going to be like he'll go along with it because the rest of the Lance has decided that no, we're going to go and help Willow, but he's probably going to be a little bit annoyed that we would even consider working with gangs and all the rest of it.
Yeah. All right. So you will enter into his office. He's at a computer. He's typing. Your mother is sitting in a chair. She's got like a tablet out and she's watching something like a funny show or something, and she's just kind of chuckling to herself, just having a nice relaxing evening in their quarters aboard the drop ship. And you knock. Your father says enter, and you're able to walk into their. They've got like a little bit of one of the larger, I guess, suites you could call it aboard the ship. The commander's office. It's not too much bigger than the rest, but it does have a little bit more amenities, I guess is the statement. So yeah, you walk in and please take the scene.
So he would be somewhat, maybe a little bit nervous. Be like, so don't think I ever thanked you for taking that shot and knocking the mech out in that last mission.
If I would have let you die, your mother never would have forgiven me. Your mother looks up from her tablet and says, no, I certainly wouldn't have forgiven him.
So yeah, well, thanks for that. This next mission, though, I think that this one's just the four of us. I can imagine your opinion of this one, but you don't need to say anything. We have made the decision as a team. Willow, he's part of that team. He's our leader. If he needs our help, then we're going to help. And if that means working with undesirables, then so be it.
Your mother is still looking up from her tablet. The glow of the screen, the lights are kind of dim in the room right now, just so that you only see the glow from like her tablet, the computer screen. Your father is typing some notes or whatever, maybe working on some logs. And he hasn't looked over at you. He's just been staring at the screen, his hands clasped together as so, just kind of, folded into the fingers interlocking. And he brings his closed, interlocked hands up to his face, kind of just taps on it for a little bit, just for a few moments like this. Son, what makes someone an undesirable?
Well, that depends on who you ask, but
he releases his hand, snaps his finger, and points at you. Finally, looking from his computer screen at you. That's precisely my point, son. We can't be picky in who we choose to work with. Right now, the only thing that matters is our survival. Not only our survival, but our ability to thrive in the chaos of this mercenary life. Your mother is looking at your father, and she is nodding her head slowly, as though... She also has this expression like she almost doesn't recognize her father right now, but that she likes who she's seeing. She likes what he's saying. And his eyes are locked on Cyprian. I may not like what we're about to do, but I understand its necessity. The only thing that matters is that you are loyal to those you call your lance mates. And helping Willow right now, that's loyalty. That's honor. And I respect that, son.
I'm assuming that there's like a little sofa or something. He's going to go and sit down next to Mum and be like,
yeah,
I honestly expected more pushback on this one.
Your mother will actually laugh a little bit. Your father does not laugh, but he does turn back to start working on his computer. And as you sit down next to your mother, she takes the tablet, sets it on the little arm of the sofa, and then just reaches down, taking your hand, and says, "Cyprian, your father, well, he might be an old dog, but I think he's learning some new tricks." Your father responds with, "Damn it, woman, don't, just, quiet." And she's like, "How dare you speak to me like that?" And they have a little bit of like that jokingly bickering.
Cyprian will jump in like, "What? Are you teaching him to jump as well?"
Oh no, that's for a later lesson. And you just hear him mumbling to himself, "Stupid fucking people, damn it."
That's good. It's easier to start with the basics.
And unless you have anything else to add, I think that is I like that. I like that scene. Is that satisfactory for you as well? Yeah. Oh, I like that. Perfect. So she will then take her tablet back up, and she's watching a comedy show. It's like stand-up comedy, and it's a guy making a lot of jokes about Katrina Steiner. That's kind of on like the dark web, as it were. It's a comedy show making fun of the Katrina and her illegitimate claim to the throne, as it were, is how they're calling it. With that being said, any other scenes before we progress things on? Beautiful. I love it. So we're going to cut to you guys zooming down into the Robinson system, and then planet Robinson, which you're actually heading to, is the third planet from the star that makes up this solar system. And as previously stated, it's a pretty comfortable planet. It's a very nice planet. A lot of it industry. It's been slow kind of rebuild, but it's pretty much self-sufficient as far as raw materials, agriculture, etc. And it's got an A-rated HPG as well, which is a good thing. So you all move in, and Willow, the address in question is a office building in the capital that is really in the heart of the downtown. It's got a couple of different businesses that operate out, but think of them kind of like headquarters. If you've ever been to a large city, they'll be like, the bank's headquarters. It's not really a bank there. It's just where all the administration hangs out. And the office that you've been invited into is on the top floor of this office building. And the symbol on this office building is it has a very close similarity to a certain tattoo that you had removed. It's not the exact same thing. It's just the circle and the little smiley face.
It looks like a planet and a spaceship.
Yeah.
With a trail.
Yeah, exactly. It's so close that anybody that knows, but anyone that doesn't know, it'd just be like, "Oh, that's a cool piece of art." So yeah, I like that. And would you all make your way directly there to this address, Willow? Is that how you would ask everyone to proceed, or was there any other stops y'all would like to make prior to heading there?
Willow would suggest that we go straight there, conduct business, and then we can do any shopping or
I love it.
Anything on the way.
I love
after
it.
Question: Are firearms permitted on this planet? Like, can we go armed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If firearms are permitted, you obviously have to go through security, and people might ask questions, and like, who are you? Like what? Like who's gun? Who are you part of? Who are you meeting with? And Willow, the message that you got had basically a code that you could use to gain access into this facility. And Willow, when you left this organization, it was not huge. It was not small, but it was a fraction of what you're seeing right here. It appears that this organization that you were at one point a part of has grown in both complexity and functionality, as it were. That is the best way I can describe this. So it's come a long ways from the time that you were a member of it. And I'd like to just real quick, I'd like to show you guys where you're at, because I think visuals are always important. So this is the local system, Planet Robinson, where you all find yourselves. And it's a pretty nice system. There's a couple different planets, lots of gaseous giants and whatnot. But
one of them is called George.
One of them is called George. Yeah, one's called George. That's right.
They just like, fuck it, we'll just call him George.
Let's call it George. That's right. Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. And as you get up there, imagine, if you will, one of the nicest, crispest, cleanest offices you've ever been into. It's got marble floors. It's got everything is white and gray, just like spotless, pristine, clean, just absolutely just the epitome of class is how this office is designed. Everyone's walking around in suits, and the secretaries are dressed to the nines. Everything, the guards all have dark glasses, little earpieces. Like, this place seems real official. But Willow, you know that it's all a front. All of it is a front. You can see past the beauty. You can see past all of this crispness. You can see there's something else going on. And we're going to cut to a office where you guys will all be invited in to sit down. And as you walk into this office, it's a small room, no windows, and sitting at the desk behind two large glowing screens, you see someone that you haven't seen in, well, you tell me, how many years has it been since you interacted with Karina?
Probably close on 2 decades.
So over 20 years. What's interesting, Willow, is that it looks like she hasn't aged a bit. Looks like she hasn't. She looks the exact same as literally the day you asked that favor and gave that promise of a favor in the future. And as you all shuffle in, she's wearing this very intense red lipstick. Her hair is a mixture of this kind of yellow and orange. It's slightly dyed. She has a leather jacket on. She looks completely different from all of the fancy, the fine suits wearing gentlemen you've seen, these very capitalistic looking folks that you've seen wandering around the halls of this office building. And she will look up at you and remind me, and forgive me here. Now, Willow, that is your actual name, or you have a different name in the past? I can't remember what it was. I'm having a mental block.
Willow, it was just the nickname that his sister used for him. They're both his actual name is Arthur Byrne, and her name is Penelope Byrne.
And she is going to look up, and with that smile that sends a chill down your spine, she will say, "Artie, I'm glad to see that some promises still hold true. Let's talk business." And that, my friends, is where we're going to end today's session, because I think that's a nice little moment to end there. And we will pick up pretty much right where we're leaving off here, with the job she's going to present to you. And I will give you all an idea of what this job is going to be so you can better prepare. Foreshadow for you all, this is going to be primarily out of your mechs kind of job. There's going to be a little bit of information gathering so that you can actually do the mission, and then there'll be the actual mission itself, and this should probably take us between 2 and 3 sessions to get through this, I guess, this small little arc here. And I want to say I thought everyone did a fantastic job today. Any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns from the group?
No, it'll be nice
For
to
me,
do another street level
Yeah.
few sessions with maybe some personal combat.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
It's been literally since the second session that
Yeah.
we've done
Yeah.
anything on foot.
It's been a while, and I thought that this arc, if you chose this, it's been a while since I could use my sidearm. Anyway, and
Sure has.
it was great. So
Been a
let's
while
talk.
since,
Go ahead.
Since Lawrence has cracked anybody with a cue ball.
It's true.
Yeah.
Cue ball. So let's talk turkey here. So showing up, y'all get 1 XP. We had all of our little moments aboard the ships. We had a couple of different scenes we had as far as our vignettes over the 30 days of travel. We had our opening scene. Let's make it an even 4. I think 4 is fair for today's session. We're going to make that just a nice even 4. Actually, let's just make it 5. 5 XP. 5 XP feels good for all the different scenes. You guys did a good job. Now, as I always say, I just want to say thank you to you guys for playing this story with me. It's been a lot of fun. Strong foreshadow, I am going to be redoing the overlay for next session. I'm going to be I got some feedback from some of our viewers, both for this session as well as some of the other games, that the overlay, like, they'd like to see your camera boxes a little bit bigger and make some of the other things a little bit smaller. So I'm going to just do a little reworking. So next session, you guys will see a brand new overlay, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm going to start working on that this week. And with that being said, I think I just want to say thank you to the players for playing. Thank you for the viewers for viewing. If you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitch. It does help. And if you like what you see here, drop a subscription. It definitely helps out. It keeps me, it makes me able for me to buy more books, which is always a fun thing. And more books means more games. Other than that, thank you guys. And as I always say, happy gaming, everybody. We will catch you next time for session 11 of Salvaged Destiny next Saturday. Same game time, same game place. Good night, everybody. Cheers.
Gonna make a players union. We're gonna have 2